Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings, number 276. I'm your host, Gary Mack, and I'm glad to be with you this evening, and I'm glad that you could join me whenever you're listening to this show or watching it, as we're attempting to do a video for YouTube. So you can go check that out and see what it looks like when we do the show. Not too much action, but still something a little bit different. All right, before we get started tonight, I want to do a special shout out to my former co-host Barry, who's having a little problem with his foot there. Took a little fall and tore a tendon in his left foot. He's going to have some surgery on it next week. So, Barry, I'm sure you'll get through that surgery nice and easy. And the rehab's the tough part, but you're a tough guy, and I'm sure you'll get through it, and you'll be walking around and playing golf in no time. So from all of us here, get well quick, and we'll be thinking of you as you go through that. I'm going to start thinking about my knee as well, so maybe in the same boat eventually as you are, but get well quick, my friend. Okay, former Mets player and manager Dallas Green passed away this past Wednesday. At the age of 82, Green made 5 appearances as a pitcher for the Mets in 1966. He managed the club from 1993 to 1996, taking over for the wonderful Jeff Torborg. During this season, he was fired and replaced by Bobby Valentine late in the 96 season. He also managed the Yankees in 1989 and the Phillies from 79 to 81, leading the franchise to its first World Series crown in 1980. He also was a general manager of the Chicago Cubs and did a lot of changing around it. It really started the Cubs on the little bit of a role that they had in the 80s. So Dallas Green passed away, and my memory of Dallas Green, of course, is in I think it was 63 when Jimmy Pearsall, an outfielder for the New York Mets, actually hit his 100th career home run. Now, Jimmy Pearsall was not the most he was a character, let's put it that way. And he actually ran the bases backwards. He ran them in the correct order, but he was backwards and really showed up the pitcher and was not well liked. And Casey actually cut him the next day, I think it was. They released him, the Mets. So Casey wasn't too happy about it, but he said he was going to do it, and the fans really liked Jimmy Pearsall. He spent a lot of time with the fans, and but he was a different kind of a character. There's actually a movie made about him his early life, and that is called Fear Strikes Out. He had suffered a nervous breakdown, and I'm not sure if he was in the minor leagues. He had a very dominating father who was his little league coach and really pushed him, and it really pushed him over the brink for a short period of time. But he was able to come back and make the major leagues. And actually was a very good defensive outfielder, but it never reached the full potential of what he was supposed to be before that. But Fear Strikes Out, Jimmy Pearsall, and I think it's Anthony Perkins plays Jimmy Pearsall in that movie. So go check it out. It's another one of those baseball movies that you should see just to get an idea of the history of the game and enjoy the game. All right, spring training. We have, what is it? Let me check here. I think there's 10 days left to 11 days to opening day. And now it's getting to be crunch time. Terry Collins said that on Monday. And final 2 weeks of the season, the guys are going to have to start putting the pedal to the metal, start treating the games as if they are important, and start really revving it up for the 2017 season. And according to Mets blog, the Mets have three things that they really have to look at over the last few days. And number one is the bullpen. Familia is expected to begin the season suspended for a domestic violent incident, though we don't know. Rumors are it's not going to be a long sentence, but it could be 30 days, could be 20 games or 30 games, sorry, somewhere in that neighborhood. So he will miss some time. So the job will probably go to Addison Reed, but they also have Fernando Salas, who has closed in the past, I believe. Hansel Robles, Jerry Blevins, Seth Lugo. They're all going to make the bullpen. Pretty good lock to make the season opener. Left-hand reliever Josh Smoker is on track also to make the cut. So it looks like it's going to come down to Josh Edgin and a young guy, Paul Sewald, who came up from AAA and has pitched very well in spring training. And he can be sent back. There's no options on him, so he could be sent back. Edgin is out of options and would have to be put on waivers if he were sent back, which means he would be available to all 29 teams before accepting a minor league assignment. Edgin's looked okay. Seawald's looked terrific. They could take a chance with Edgin, keep him up. If he doesn't perform, they could let him go. Or they could keep Sewald, farm out Edgin, let him go through waivers and hope that he doesn't make it if they still have confidence in him. But he hasn't been the same player since the Tommy John surgery. He's still, maybe he's a slower healer than most, but it's been a struggle, and he's pitched pretty well out. But again, Sewald has pitched awesome, and why not give Sewald a chance? So we'll see how that part will play out. The bench, this is an interesting thing. We know that Rene Rivera, Juan Lagares, Wilmer Flores will probably be the primary bench players. The two final spots will probably come down to four guys: T.J. Rivera, Ty Kelly, Brandon Nimmo, and Michael Conforto. They all have major league experience. They all do things a little bit differently. Matt Reynolds was in that mix, but he's been sent down, so odds are he's not going to make the opening day lineup. T.J. Rivera last year played a pretty decent second base in Neil Walker's absence. He also can play third. He can also play first. He's been playing that in the WBC with the Puerto Rican team. Ty Kelly, Terry Collins' favorite. Terry Collins likes him because he can play all over the infield. He can play in the outfield. Probably could even catch if they needed him. Ty Kelly, favorite, very versatile, not as good a hitter as T.J. Rivera. Brandon Nimmo, outfielder, and Michael Conforto, another outfielder, and essentially corner outfielder. But he has had some time in center field. This is a tough choice, but I think it's going to shake out this way, and I'm not happy about it because of the Jay Bruce situation, which, again, I think was a big mistake by giving him a contract, renewing, picking up the option, because now they may be hamstringing, no pun intended, Brandon Nimmo, but they may be hamstringing the career of Michael Conforto. Conforto's done everything possible. He worked out very hard in the spring, lost some weight, but put on some muscle. He's hitting .356 in the spring. I think what's going to shake out is Rivera and Kelly will make this team out of the camp. Nimmo, who has a hamstring issue from playing in the WBC with Italy, has been shut down for a couple of weeks, so I don't think he'll go to AAA, and you can make an argument for that. It's understandable. The guy that's going to go to AAA that is hard to explain is Michael Conforto. Now, as a business decision, if they can keep him down there 55 days, he gets another. The Mets gain a year of arbitration on him, so that's a business decision. And I guess they have to make that experience. They have to make that decision. But it's tough to send this kid down. He has some experience here. He had a great 2015, half a season when they brought him up. Struggled last year, no doubt. No doubt he struggled mightily. He was red hot in April, struggled from there on in. It was terrific down in Vegas. Really has nothing to prove there, but he will go down to Vegas. This is my prediction. He will be sent down and he will play center field down there, and they will get him ready to come back here. He'll definitely have a job next year with Bruce and Granderson gone. But my guess is that Bruce will play himself out of this lineup, and by June will be gone. That's what I'm saying. There's a good chance he'll be gone. He'll either be released or traded. My guess, if he's playing lousy, he'll just be released. Somewhat like Mike Marshall a number of years ago, the first baseman in the Mets acquired, stunk up the thing, and they just let him go. Or they may have made it minor trade. They might have traded him for a sack of balls or something. But I think Bruce will be gone. Granderson will then move over to right field, and perhaps Conforto will split time with Lagares in center, with Conforto getting the bulk of the time. I don't know. I mean, I'm just taking a wild guess here, and my predictions have not always been so right, so I don't know if you should count on it. But that's what I'm going to say. That's what's going to happen. They have to get this kid in the lineup this year and keep his energy up. He brought a lot of energy to the team, as well as Nimmo. And we'll see Nimmo before the end of the year, I hope, because Nimmo did a great job last year in a tough situation, coming off the bench. Tough for a kid to do that. And he came off the bench and always seemed to be in the second half of the season. Down the stretch, he seemed to be in the middle of everything. Every rally, he either got a base hit or a walk to start a rally, or got one in the middle of a rally, and or stole a base or something. But did a lot of good. Hit 276, I think, which isn't awful. And I think he's going to be that kind of player. He'll be an extra outfielder perhaps, but he's going to be a good one, and I think he'll see a lot of playing time perhaps next year. When there's more of a chance with, again, Granderson and Bruce gone. The third thing Mets blog says the Mets have to work on is the lineup. And look, they point out in this article that the Mets won their most games and had the best run production when Reyes, Cabrera, and Cespedes kicked off the batting order. And I think they need to stay with that. I said this on another show, Rising Apple podcast last night. Cabrera should hit second. It worked. It worked very well. And the question is going to be the middle of the lineup. Is some different things you can do. A lot of people put Bruce in at cleanup. I wouldn't. I think Duda should be a cleanup. Maybe Granderson or Neil Walker fifth. Granderson sixth. Maybe Bruce at seventh, and d'Arnaud, wherever the catch will be, will hit eight. But I can see a possibility of moving. Actually, I'd probably move d'Arnaud to seven and put Bruce at eight. This is, it's a tough decision, but this is a nice decision to have compared to years past when you had Eric Campbell. And again, not to demean Eric Campbell, but he was not a cleanup hitter, and there was some games he was hitting cleanup, and that's because that's what the Mets were. They weren't really. They had a lot of 4A players, what they call 4A players, on the roster, and they were stuck. So this year's team seems to have a little bit more depth, a lot more depth, I should say, and it's going to be a good year, I think. It's really going to be an interesting year. I'm really getting excited now for opening day, and I really think this team can do some damage this year. I in a good way. And I think they're going to be heading to the playoffs and possibly to the World Series. And this could be the year. I really am that confident with the way this team is constructed that they can do something really special. And we deserve it. I think. All right, let's take a break and come back after these messages.
Hey, baseball fans and book fans as well. This is Frank Nappi, author of the Legend of Mickey Tussler series, inviting all of you to learn more about my protagonist, Mickey Tussler, an incredible pitching prodigy who has autism. Follow Mickey's journey as he captures the hearts of fans everywhere with his blazing fastball and indomitable spirit. Please visit Amazon or www.franknappy.com for more information.
Hi, this is the world-famous Mr. Brewtown of BrewtownSports.podomatic.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Brewtown Sports. You can also listen to the show at Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and iTunes.com. And we've got the new one. It's called BrewtownRadio.weebly.com. But the one that I'm most proud of being on is BaseballPodcast.net. It is the home of great baseball talk shows. Check it out, my show and all kinds of other programs all about Major League Baseball. So check it out. That's baseballpodcast.net, the home for great baseball talk shows.
The Phillies and Mets rivalry has never been better. Hi, my name is Rich Baxter, and I host Phillies Talk Podcast. I hope you'll join me as we talk all about the Phillies all season long. That's Phillies Talk Podcast at fightinphillies.com. And now back to Gary Mack and this great edition of Mets Musings.
516-619-6341. That is the comment voicemail hotline if you'd like to be a part of the show. And drop us a line, leave us a comment or a voicemail, question, anything at all. Call that number, 516-619-6341. Or go to MetsMusings.com and click on that widget in the middle of the screen, and that's a speak pipe, and you can leave a voicemail right through your computer through your computer's microphone. Or if you prefer to do things the old-fashioned way, send us an email at metsmusings@gmail.com. The Facebook page is facebook.com/groups/MetsMusings, and the Twitter handle is at MetsMusings1. And if you'd like to help out the show, check out our Patreon page. Check out the campaign at patreon.com/MetsMusings. And we're back in some other Mets news. Tim Tebow will be assigned to the Columbia Fireflies in the Low A Sally League at the beginning of the 2017 season, a move that will raise the team's profile while also potentially drawing many more fans and media to brand new Spirit Communications Park. Second season there, and they did very well. They broke all kinds of attendance records. Little surprised at this. I thought he may come to Brooklyn, and he still might. My idea is they want him to play every day, and they'll send him to a full season league. And look, if he struggles there, they could be easily send him back to Brooklyn when their season starts in June the 19th. And that's a Wilpon-owned team. So it's a little surprising that they're going to send him to Columbia, but it is a newer team. This the second season, and I guess they figured they could use the boost there, but they've really drawn quite well. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. It could go either way. If he does well they could move him to St. Lucie, which would be his home state of Florida, and that is a Will Pond team. I believe the Mets own the St. Lucie Mets. And if he's not doing well, he could go to the Cyclones. So maybe that's why they positioned him there. If he shows enough, they might be able to bring him up to St. Lucie. If not, they can move him down to Brooklyn. St. Lucie is a long season team, a full season team, as well as Columbia. But again, Brooklyn is a short season. So they want him to play. I think they want him to play in meaningful games instead of just playing in extended spring training games. And so that's the announcement that they made, that Tebow will go to the Columbia Fireflies. There's actually a picture of him out with the uniform. Should have put it on here for tonight's show, but did not. Okay, Mets closer Jeurys Familia. He returned to St. Lucie this past Monday after throwing 3 1/3 innings across 4 appearances for the Dominican Republic in the World Baseball Classic. The Mets were not too happy about his usage in the Classic, especially in one game where they had a very large lead, and he was up and down in the bullpen a couple times and then brought into the game. The Mets were not happy about that. Now that Familia is back in camp, the MLB is expected to soon announce whether he was suspended for being accused of domestic violence last October. And can they do it already? Why, I don't understand why the big long delay. If they finish their investigation, let's name it and get it done with, so we know what our plans are. I mean, this is kind of crazy. There's only 10 games left or so in spring training, and we still don't know who's going to close because we're waiting on Major League Baseball. Come on, Major League Baseball, get it done already. Stop making us wait, anticipating that he's going to be out for how long. It's not right. It's not a right thing to do. I'm sorry. But it is not right for the Mets or for any team that's in this situation. Get it done. You got your investigation done. Let's make the decision and do it again. You made a quick enough decision on some of these stupid rules you put in. Let's make a decision on this. No more intentional walks. I don't know.
Check us out at MetsMusings.com and find the Mets Musings podcast on Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, iTunes, Flipboard, and at baseballpodcasts.net. That's baseballpodcasts with an S.net.
This is Frank Nappi, author of the Legend of Mickey Tussler series, and you're listening to Mets Musings with Gary Mack.
All right, and New York's bullpen received some positive news when Fernando Salas arrived. He has yet to appear in a Grapefruit League game. He has since then. This was Sunday when he came in. He's been out of camp over lingering visa issues in his native Mexico. However, those were resolved in the last few days, allowing him to rejoin the club for the final 2 weeks of spring training. I'm happy to be here, said Salas after shaking hands with teammates in the clubhouse. I understand, and I have my visa now. The good news is that the Mets bullpen could use some good news with all of this stuff going on. And he's going to have a big, important part, because if Addison Reed is moved back to be the closer when Familia is gone, he could possibly be moved into the setup spot. Robles could get the 7th inning, and then it's a crapshoot for the 6th inning, and hopefully they don't go a lot. But, in the early part of the year, they're not going to push the starters, especially those guys coming off surgery. So they might go 5 1/3, 5 2/3, depending on the pitch counts, of course. And they're going to need people to step up and get in there. So Salas is going to be a big part of this team. Played well last year, and let's hope he can continue it this year. The Mets will take on their AAA affiliate, the Las Vegas 51s, at First Data Field on March 30th, before departing Port St. Lucie for New York. The following day, the Mets will welcome the Army Black Knights to Citi Field for an exhibition match at 1:10 p.m. The teams will play a 7-inning game, and parking at Citi Field will be free. General admission tickets for field-level seating are $10, and net proceeds proceeds from ticket sales will be donated to the Mets Foundation. All active and retired military members with military ID will be allowed to attend the game along with one guest for free. The game against Army was scheduled to take place at West Point, but was moved to Citi Field because of the snowstorm up in that area last week, and they received quite a bit, I think 25 inches, and I don't think the field is playable. So they decided to move this game and bring it to Citi Field, which is in better shape, and let's hope we don't get any snow or anything over the next week or so. So next week, that's going to be it, folks. They're going to end on the 30th, which is next Thursday, right? Yeah, next Thursday. Ends their spring training, and then they're going to come home, play an exhibition game against the Army Black Knights on Friday, and then Monday, baby, it's for real. We kick it off. Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, 1:10 p.m. opening day, and it's going to count. And it's probably be Noah Syndergaard against Julio Teheran. We're going to find out more about that next week. Next week, we're going to have our first guest of the season, the first blogger from the Atlantic Baseball Talk. Steve Epstein's going to join us, and we're gonna get into it right away with the Atlanta Braves talk and the New York Mets talk. So be sure to check that out in our next edition of Mets Musings. Well, that does it for this edition of the podcast. This edition is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. If you would like to help in keeping this podcast going, I urge you to check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MetsMusings. So thanks for listening to this episode, and until next time, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets!